All of you must know graffiti. Various sentences written with spray can be seen on the streets and walls of our cities. Here in Kiev and in Poland and everywhere, all around the world. But what is it exactly, this whole graffiti thing? And where did it come from? You might ask yourself sometimes. So everything started with this guy. His name is Taki183, or rather the real name is Demetrius. He's a Greek immigrant who emigrated to New York in late 60s when he was a boy. He was a courier, so he was like delivering, letters from place to place. And eventually he started to write his name on different surfaces with markers and spray cans. 183 is a number of the street that he was living at when he was living in New York. So he was leaving his name in many different places. That's how he looks like now. But that time when he was young, he was obviously... Oh, sorry. That's not him when he was young. Sorry. It's a funny coincidence only. Yeah, this is like something completely different, but I think... yeah, that's the proper thing. We will get back to the young black boy later. So this is New York Times from Friday, July 21st, 1971. And that's basically the first moment when the wider audience could learn something about graffiti. And it's an article that was describing the new type of activity in public space that was called later tagging. Tagging from marking the space with the tags. So each one of these signatures is named tag. Some of you may be familiar with them, with graffiti and with tags. Thank you. So after a few months or maybe years, everything in New York started to look like that, which was not cool for most of the citizens. I believe graffiti boys were quite happy with that because it proved that they were effective with writing their names, but the rest of the society probably wasn't so much happy about it. But graffiti was not only about writing names, it was also about social statement, different social statement, like crack is whack from New York City in 1986. Which of course means you shouldn't take crack. And that was painted by Keith Haring. You might have heard about him. He was a graffiti artist living in New York in 80s. Later he died, at the end of 90s he died out of HIV. And so this is an example of the social statement graffiti. And another one would be this gentleman, who was known among graffiti writers as Samo, but also known to the wider public as Jean-Michel Basquiat. You can see him on the picture just after he finished writing his statement to the society. He was using this characteristic E letter with 3 horizontal dashes. That was a trademark of him. So this kind of practice is being continued by artists like Banksy today. This is a Banksy piece from Dubai. And many other. Among of them, there's a Blue from Bologna. He's an Italian artist. This is a mural he created in Morocco 4 years ago at the wall that is separating the Hispan, what's the name in English? Spanish, yeah, that's the name in English. Spanish city, Manila, and the rest of the country. There's a wall on the border that is not accessible by immigrants. So Blue wanted to point towards this problem with this mural. So you can see the flag of European Union made out of barbed wire, and around the barbed wire you can see the immigrants trying to get into Manila, the city behind the wall, and the European Union itself. But there was something in Europe, and especially in former Soviet countries, before graffiti. Oh, this is still blue, and his soldiers he made in Milano, in Italy. This is another statement mural. You can see soldiers being, people being transformed into soldiers, brainwashed. But what I wanted to show you, and I will now, is that there was something before graffiti in generally in Europe, but especially in former Soviet countries. And this was paintings, and not only paintings, but different forms of expression in public space that was called propaganda, murals, and mosaics ordered by the cities, by the government, to promote some socialistic ideas. This is also something that eventually influenced the modern street art as we know it today. Because this gentleman, known as Obey the Giant, his real name is Shepard Fairley, he continued the aesthetics of the propaganda murals into his artwork, what eventually led to this character and his portrait. You can see some similarities between these two aesthetics. The colors, the shapes are quite similar. And at the end, you can find Mr. Barack Obama on the wall as well. So he kind of made a circle with this. So there was something before graffiti. And so it was not totally out of nowhere. And there was, shortly after the beginning of the 21st century, a new movement has appeared called street art. It all started with street logos that you can see on the picture here. This is a logotype of artist from Berlin named Kripo. He's a half Turkish, half German street artist who came up with this logotype of a fist, which was probably not very original because the fist was always a symbol of resistance and punk scene and you know, fighting against system generally. So he adopted this logotype of the hand, and he was multiplicating this logotype everywhere he could. This particular picture, as you can see, was taken in Istanbul. So you can see the Turkish statements on the banner. He made lots of them everywhere, not only in Turkey, but especially in Germany, in Berlin. So Berlin was one of the places where modern street art was born, because of the specific context of the city, divided with the wall. The two parts of Berlin, eastern and western part, you know the story, of course. And the other place was Barcelona. This is a piece of an artist named La Mano, and as you can see, these characters are even formed in the shape of 2000 statements. And this is a date of this artwork. So it was all around the year 2000 started to convert from graffiti and from writing the names into something more narrative and more illustrative than just letters. This is the piece of Ceramic. Ceramic is an artist from Vienna, from Austria. And he also was one of these pioneers of the street logotypes in the early 2000s. It's also this piece is also from the year 2000, from Vienna. He was also traveling to South America, where he discovered Os Gemeos, the twin brothers who are very popular street artists now. So we can thank Ceramic for Mr. Ceramic for discovering the Southern America artists for Europe, and also for the beginning of street art era. So in the year 2008, something really amazing happened, because very serious institution of modern art called Tate Modern in London decided to acclimate the street art as a serious thing, serious matter. So they eventually decided to make a big exhibition incorporating the front wall of the gallery with 5 different artists, which one of them was Blue from Italy, Nunca from Brazil, Os Gemeos from Brazil too, a team of artists from America, JR from Paris, and the 5th guy that I ever forget the name. Anyway, they displayed street art on the facade, on the front side of the gallery, which was quite shocking at that time. It was not even 10 years ago, but it was still very fresh for a serious institution like that to try to dig into graffiti and street art. Okay, so also in Poland we have, nowadays murals are very popular, even a little too popular, but we will see it later. There are 10 different street art festivals in Poland for the moment, in 10 different cities, which altogether produce more than 100 murals per year, which is quite a lot. This example is from Łódź. It's a city close to Warsaw, to the capital of Poland, where the festival called Łódź Murals is taking place. This is an artwork of Aritz from Valencia, from Spain, one of the most probably important and most popular street artists nowadays. This was done in, I think, 2010 or 11. They started a few years ago, and now they have, I think, more than 150 murals in Łódź only. This is another mural from Łódź, made by the same artist, Aritz, in cooperation with Os Gemeos, with the twin duo from Brazil that I was telling you about before. Quite spectacular, I must say. A huge one also. And this is by the Russian artist named Morik. It's very recent one, a fresh one just from this year. It was completed in February, I think. So murals are everywhere. And this is from Katowice. This is a bit different approach to street art, because what I was showing you before in Łódź, these 3 pictures are significant for the idea of how murals should look like in Łódź. They want to have big, colorful illustrations with no, let's say, just purely aesthetical pictures. Big illustrations, like from a book, like from a comic, like just illustrations without any problematization. We will come back to that later. On the other hand, Katowice, they are the different city in Poland. They are trying to do it in a different way. They are not interested in aestheticization of the city. They are interested in discourse. They want to make it significant. So they work rather not in the center of the city, but at the outskirts of the city, suburbans of the city. And they invite different artists, more critical artists. This one is named Mobster, and he's from UK, from United Kingdom, and he proposed a wall like that in a very difficult neighborhood, very poor neighborhood filled with people without work, being, you know, sad and aggressive because of their life, being really oppressed by the system. So this is even more hard to create a mural that is hard to be understand in a neighborhood that is hard to deal with. He also did another one. This is a different artist. His name is Spy, but this is the same festival in Katowice. So this gives you a view an example of what they are trying to achieve with their idea for street art. Think is a big sign. I think it's 3 floors high at the outskirts of Katowice, which is a poor mining region of the country. And that was very experimental and very, I would say, risky. This is another mural done by Katowice Festival. It's based on a drawing of a young girl. This drawing was done in a kindergarten, in a press school. You know what kindergarten is. And during the strikes, during the revolt of the mining people, who were forced to let go their works. So it's there's written, "Daddy, don't cry, Sophie." And there was an artist from Krakow who came to Katowice, and he did a mural based on an actual drawing of a young girl, 10 years old girl. So again, we can ask question: is it even beautiful, or is it? Should that be displayed on public view? It's nothing like we saw in Łódź. It's not the same approach to street art. It's something completely different. So which one of these 2 approaches is better? I don't know, but they are certainly different. So that's something I wanted to point you. There are like 2 different approaches to street art. Aesthetical and problematical. We have 2 different approaches for the moment, and that are kind of, you know, forcing each other. Among the curators, among the art directors of the festival, among critics like me, we are talking about which one is better, more sustainable for the city, more... We could talk about it more later if you like to ask me any questions, or we can just sit and talk if you like. Okay, so murals are everywhere, and this is the moment when I wanted to show you the young boy, and I will do that. I just have to find him. It's here. This is a picture I have taken in Morocco in February, and this is a stencil of a kind of a famous artist named C215. The name is C215. He's a stencil artist. He's cutting stencils and putting them on the walls. He's from France. So even in Morocco, you can find his works, and not only his works, but also other street artists. This is a work of J.R., also French artists, done in South Africa. I think I wanted to show you something else now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wanted. So, okay, wait, give me a second. And for example, this one was made in Tunisia, in Djerba, by an artist from Poland, by M-City, Mariusz Varas, M-City. And why I'm showing this to you, just to give you a picture that street art is everywhere now. There's no place on the world where you can't find street art. It's a worldwide movement. And it's always kind of the same. You may recognize this one. This is Waone from Interesne Kaski, from the street art group from Kiev. And this picture was done in India, in Varkali, in India. So even on the other side of the world. So generally, artists from Europe, from this area where we are now, are starting to travel to different countries where there is less street art, and they are implementing their aesthetics to the other countries. And some of them are post-colonial countries, like India, like Morocco, like Tunisia. So what struck me when I was in Marrakesh, and it was in February, I was in Morocco for Art Biennale in Marrakesh. And I saw these murals, because last year was the first year when street art was introduced to Maghreb countries, to Morocco. What struck me that these murals are completely the same that I've seen in Europe. Nothing has changed in aesthetics or even the topics of these murals. I find it, personally, I find it as very neo-colonial strategy. And I was trying to even to discuss it with the curators in Morocco. But they are in a certain moment when they think it's very good they can have artists from the West, from the Europe, and display them in public. They told me, at last, Morocco can be seen as a normal country, as a country like any other country. And I asked them, do you really want Morocco to look like all other countries? I mean, these murals are everywhere. They look all the same. Maybe you should ask yourself if you really need the same aesthetic that we are kind of bored with in Europe now. I mean, there's so many murals now in Europe that maybe even too much. Okay, that's just a digression, let's say. But I think that subject of neocolonialism is quite interesting in the field that we are discussing now. Okay, the boy, we are done with the boy. And now we get back to this part of the world. Yes. So, there's a lot of murals, and it's starting to be a bit boring, as I said, because they're all the same. And there are certain artists that are trying to change a general look of street art. And one of them is someone who I recently met on the plane from Warsaw. It's an Ukrainian artist from Kiev, Vova Vorotnyov. And he told me that recently there's been a huge discussion about murals in Kiev. Should these be created anymore? And on what conditions, what subjects, what topics that should be touched? So this is one of the murals Vova Vorotnyov made in Poland, in Warsaw. It shows just the wall, basically. It's a big frame and a bit of black paint inside that is following the natural structure of the wall. So this is more conceptual than visual. But again, it points on a problem, on a certain problem of street art. Being narrative, figurative, kind of boring. So this is another thing done by Vova Vorotnyov. It's done in Krakow, in my city. And during the Art Boom Festival, it's a contemporary art festival in Krakow. And this is anti-mural. It's called anti-mural. So an actual wall is not being painted. Just surroundings of the wall, around the wall. The pipe, the trash cans, this shed in front is for trash. So he didn't want to paint on the actual wall. He wanted to point on the wall. Look, the wall is empty. Maybe it should be empty. Maybe it's just a beginning of a discussion. Of course, it's a critical work. This is the third and the last thing from Vova that I wanted to show you. It's not being painted. It's being hammered in a wall, and it's also in Katowice, in Katowice Street Art Festival. As I told you, it's a coal mining area with a lot of trouble, with very problematic social structure. A lot of people are unemployed, angry. They have no money for life, and they are being even aggressive sometimes, as I said before. Not all of them, of course, but generally they are not in a very well mood. So what Vova did was these two hammers, which are a sign of a kind of an official logo of coal mining, and he hammered it in a wall. And he said, like, these miners were coming, and they were like, they saw that I'm, getting tired doing that. Like I was all covered with with the structure of the wall, and they said, like, good. I mean, this is real work. It's the art we understand. It's not, you know, painting with the brush. It's like you really need to put some force into it. So this is also about the dialogue with local people, yeah, who have local needs and local problems. And using the language that is understandable for them, generally. This is Igor Ponosov from Moscow, and this is a person that I've met just recently, a few days ago in Krakow. I didn't know him before that, and he came for a gallery weekend in Krakow, and there was an exhibition of his work, and it turned out that we have a lot of friends in common on Facebook, and in real life too, and all of them are artists doing non-graffiti and non-mural art in public space. So some other interesting practice, let's say. What Igor is doing, he's cutting out parts of banners, advertisement banners on the streets. He's cutting them out, like holes in them, and making some things out of it. Some useful things, like tent. For example, he's traveling with a tent that he created out of advertisement banner. Or this kind of jacket that you could need when it's raining, for example. So this is another sample of an interesting practice. And this is Brad Downey from UK, recently living in Berlin, Germany. And these are also works in public space, but not painted, not street art as we understand it, murals, graffiti, but just installations using ready objects that you can find in public space. So he's doing this interesting interventions, let's say. So my talk today is basically on paintings, but I wanted to point you some other type of activities that can be seen in public space, and they are also street art, because the definition of street art is, it's hard. But generally, they are all artistic activities that are not being institutionalized. They are not being done by institutions. They are being done by artists from their own inspiration. So I don't consider things that are being organized by a government or by the city municipal and being paid and as a street art. Street art for me is something that comes from your desire to change the shape of the city in any way. By painting, by installing something, by cutting out and putting in a different context like this juxtaposed thing here. So this is what I understand street art. This is also Brad Downey using street signs and lamps in an unusual context. You can find more on Vova Vortnov, Igor Ponosov, Brad Downey, Sasha Kumras, and other artists on the internet. So I will just show you a few of them. He's using, as you see, some typical structures that you can find in public space in a different context. It's more like land art, what you see here. It's more like Christon and Jean-Claude, the famous French duo who packed Reichstag in Berlin, for example, or on Grand Canyon. They wrapped the Grand Canyon with a foil, or the whole island somewhere in, I don't know, Philippines. So this is more like land art than street art, but this is there's a tight line between land art, street art, and social activism, I would say, for the moment. Okay, we're slowly approaching the end. I think I told you the most important things, and we are now getting to the alternative public spaces, let's say. Because why we gathered here today is the Comfy Art Prize, of course, and it's a prize that is strictly related to the shopping mall area. And shopping malls are actually, for the moment, something like artificial cities. with similar structures like streets, squares, parks. All of these can be found in shopping malls. So this is very important to make this space friendly for people who spend time there. In fact, we are spending more time in shopping malls now than anywhere else, I would say, in big cities. Because we have everything there. We have you have a bookstore, you have cinema, you have even a chapel sometimes to pray. I mean, in Poland, I don't know how is it here, but in Poland, big shopping malls have their own chapels. You can pray in your free time between shopping. Or you can leave your kid in kindergarten in the shopping mall, your grandma in church, and you can go yourself to buy shoes, whatever. So for all the members of family, you can find something nice in shopping mall. So shopping malls are becoming more and more alternative public spaces. They're privately owned, but they are still public in some way. And I think shopping malls should be a subject of urban planning as much as the city itself are. It's somewhere in Frankfurt, I think. It's just an example of different unusual shape of the building, but this is not the same as thinking about the building as an alternative public space. There should be something more. Small architecture like benches, but not only, also cultural proposition. What shopping malls need is art, not only advertisement, but also art. So there are some, they try to connect these two words, the word of commercial advertisement and the word of art, but it's not always working very well. You can find some sculptures or installations or small interventions in shopping malls, but this is not a natural area for art. So designers, architects, and urbanists are trying to change it somehow. For the moment, it's not very radical, I would say. They are trying to make exhibition like the one you see behind me, The Wild Wonders of Europe. It's not a big thing. It's something you can pop into when you go to buy shoes and, just spend a few minutes. But sometimes they are also trying to construct something more solid, like this pavilion in Dubai with an exhibition inside. It's also separating the space of commerce with the space of art, which is important to exclude the gallery space outside of the, not necessarily, but in my opinion, important. Well, this is basically the end, but just closing the subject of a shopping malls, I think contests and participative projects like Comfy Art Prize are helping somehow to achieve the goal of creating better quality shopping mall space. Yep. That doesn't need a comment. And just remember, street art can always bring some message. And although it changed a lot from the beginning, from the graffiti in the 70s in New York, and now it's more an industry, it's street art industry more than street art. But it still can bring some freedom. Thank you.